There comes a moment in every person's life when they finally realize the world doesn't reward desperation. It responds to presence. It bows to certainty, and it bends to those who know who they are. Some of you in this room have been chasing things that were never meant to be chased. You've been explaining yourself to people who already decided not to understand you. You've been begging for attention, for love, for respect. Not because you're weak, but because you were taught that being loud is the same as being powerful. It's not. Power moves quietly. Power stands still while everything else rushes. Power doesn't need permission, applause, or approval. The strongest people in a room are never the ones doing the most talking. They're the ones doing the most becoming. You don't argue with a storm. You don't negotiate with the sun. You don't beg the ocean for permission to be deep. They simply exist, and everything adjusts. That is who you are becoming. When you stop chasing, when you stop begging, when you stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to walk your path, your silence stops being empty. It becomes heavy. It becomes felt. It becomes your superpower. Because the moment you stop proving your worth, the world starts feeling it. Key point number 1 is about choosing self-respect over approval. And this is where real personal power begins. Most people spend a large part of their lives quietly negotiating their worth with the world, measuring their value by how much attention they receive, how many people approve of their choices, and how often they are validated by others. This habit slowly teaches the mind that worth is something external, something that must be earned through performance, people-pleasing, or sacrifice of one's own truth. Over time, this creates a dangerous pattern where a person starts bending their standards, their boundaries, and even their identity just to remain accepted, and in that process, they slowly abandon themselves. Self-respect, on the other hand, is the decision to stop outsourcing your value and start standing on it. It is the moment you choose to honor your own needs, principles, and limits, even when it costs you comfort, connection, or convenience. When a person chooses self-respect, they stop tolerating disrespect in conversations, relationships, and environments because their inner world finally becomes more important than the noise outside. They no longer feel the need to chase validation because they have built something far stronger: inner approval. This shift is powerful because it changes the way the world responds to you. People may not always like someone who has self-respect, but they will always feel it. They sense it in your posture, in your voice, in the calm way you move through situations without trying to impress or explain yourself. Approval-seeking energy is loud, anxious, and fragile. Self-respect is quiet, steady, and grounded. When you stop chasing acceptance, you start attracting alignment. The right people, opportunities, and environments begin to appear not because you beg for them, but because your standards filtered out what was never meant for you. Choosing self-respect also requires the courage to be misunderstood, because the moment you stop bending for others, some will label you difficult, distant, or changed. But growth always looks like loss to those who benefited from your old version. The reward for staying loyal to yourself is not just peace, but power. You wake up each day knowing that no matter who comes or goes, you remain whole, because your foundation is internal, not borrowed from opinions or applause. The greatest form of freedom is realizing that your worth does not rise or fall with other people's approval. And once you truly understand this, you stop performing for love and start living from truth. Key point number 2 is the power of silence. And this is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength in the modern world. Many people believe that power comes from being loud, from having the final word, from defending every opinion and correcting every misunderstanding. But true power does not come from constant reaction. It comes from control, and silence is the highest form of that control. When you choose silence, you are not avoiding the situation. You are mastering yourself within it. You are deciding that your energy is valuable, that your peace is precious, and that not every moment deserves your emotional investment. Silence allows you to step back and observe instead of immediately reacting. And that pause is where wisdom lives. In that space, you see people more clearly, you understand motives more deeply, and you recognize patterns that would remain hidden if you were constantly speaking. Silence removes you from the chaos of emotional arguments and places you above them, not in arrogance, but in clarity. It communicates confidence without confrontation, boundaries without conflict, and strength without noise. When someone tries to provoke you and you respond with calm silence, you shift the entire dynamic. The person looking for control loses it, and the person holding control is the one who no longer needs to prove anything. Silence also protects your plans, your goals, and your growth. Not everything that is forming inside needs to be announced. Some things grow best in quiet, away from judgment, doubt, and interference. When you move in silence, you give yourself the space to evolve without pressure, to fail without embarrassment, and to succeed without expectation. This builds an unshakable inner foundation because you are no longer living for the reaction of others. You are living for your own direction. Silence also teaches people how to treat you. When you stop explaining yourself to those who refuse to listen and stop arguing with those who thrive on conflict, you show them that your time and energy are not open for misuse. Over time, this creates a presence that commands respect without asking for it. People begin to feel your boundaries, even when you do not speak them. The most powerful leaders, thinkers, and influencers throughout history understood that their words carried weight because they were not wasted. They spoke when it mattered and remained silent when it did not. And that balance gave their presence authority. In a world addicted to noise, the one who is comfortable in silence becomes rare, steady, and deeply impactful because silence, when used with intention, becomes a language of its own that speaks confidence, discipline, and self-mastery. Key point number 3 is emotional mastery. And this is where a person truly becomes untouchable in life. Emotional mastery is the ability to remain steady within yourself regardless of what is happening around you. It means you no longer allow other people's behavior, opinions, moods, or expectations to control your inner state. Most conflict, stress, and suffering in life does not come from the situation itself, but from the emotional reactions we attach to it. When you begin to master your emotions, you stop handing your power to the outside world. You recognize that feelings are real, but they do not have to be rulers. Instead of reacting instantly, you respond with awareness. Instead of being pulled into every argument, you choose which battles deserve your energy. This self-command creates a quiet strength that others can sense. People realize that they cannot manipulate you through guilt, anger, pressure, or fear because your emotions are anchored within you, not dependent on their approval or behavior. Emotional mastery also allows you to move through difficult moments with dignity. You experience disappointment without collapsing, criticism without losing confidence, and uncertainty without panic. This does not mean you become cold or disconnected. It means you become centered. You still feel deeply, but you do not let those feelings drag you away from your values or your vision. When you no longer beg for understanding or chase emotional validation, you step into a new level of respect for yourself. You stop explaining your choices to people who are committed to misunderstanding you, and you stop justifying your boundaries to those who benefit from you having none. This is where inner peace begins to grow because your actions finally align with your self-worth. Emotional mastery also strengthens your decision-making. When emotions are chaotic, choices become impulsive and short-sighted. When emotions are steady, choices become intentional and powerful. You begin to choose growth over comfort, discipline over distraction, and purpose over approval. This shift slowly transforms your life because every small decision starts building in the same direction. Over time, your calm becomes your signature. While others are overwhelmed by pressure, you move with clarity. While others are controlled by reactions, you act from purpose. And as you continue walking this path, you realize that emotional mastery is not about controlling the world, but about mastering yourself, which is the greatest form of power any human being can ever possess. Key point number 4 is unshakable confidence. And this is the kind of confidence that does not depend on praise, popularity, or external success. It is built quietly through self-trust, consistency, and the daily choice to honor your own standards even when no one is watching. Many people confuse confidence with arrogance or loud self-promotion, but true confidence is calm, grounded, and deeply rooted. It does not seek attention because it does not need confirmation. It grows from the inside out as you repeatedly prove to yourself that you will keep your promises, face your fears, and continue moving forward even when conditions are difficult. Each time you choose discipline over excuses, courage over comfort, and growth over familiarity, your confidence strengthens. Over time, this creates a stable sense of identity that cannot be shaken by criticism or setbacks. When challenges appear, you no longer ask yourself if you are capable. You ask yourself how you will respond. Unshakable confidence also changes the way you communicate and carry yourself. You no longer rush your words, over-explain your intentions, or justify your decisions. You speak with clarity and pause with purpose. You walk into rooms without shrinking and leave situations without regret. This presence alone influences how people treat you, because energy always speaks before words do. Confidence becomes your natural language, and it attracts respect without demanding it. It also protects you from the constant comparison trap that drains so many people. When your confidence is rooted within you, other people's success does not threaten you, and their opinions do not define you. You are focused on your own path, your own progress, and your own purpose. This allows you to move with patience, knowing that your journey is unfolding at the right pace for you. Unshakable confidence also gives you the strength to stand alone when necessary. You're no longer afraid of disappointing others if it means staying loyal to yourself. You understand that not everyone will agree with your choices, and you are at peace with that. This inner certainty becomes a source of calm in a world full of noise and doubt. Over time, the way you handle pressure, failure, and uncertainty begins to inspire others, not because you seek to influence them, but because your steadiness becomes a mirror of what is possible. You become someone who does not break under pressure, does not fold under judgment, and does not abandon their values for approval. And this is the kind of confidence that cannot be taught, only built through consistent commitment to your own growth and integrity. Key point number 5 is becoming untouchable. And this is the natural result of living with self-respect, silence, emotional mastery, and unshakable confidence. When all of these qualities come together, you reach a state where external circumstances no longer control your inner world. You are no longer easily shaken by criticism, distracted by negativity, or drained by the need to be understood. Instead, you move through life with a calm authority that comes from knowing exactly who you are and where you're going. Being untouchable does not mean you are cold or disconnected from others. It means you are deeply connected to yourself. You care, but you are not controlled. You listen, but you are not swayed. You love, but you do not lose yourself. This balance creates an inner stability that few people ever achieve. When someone tries to provoke you, manipulate you, or pull you into unnecessary conflict, your response is not reaction, but restraint. Your peace becomes your shield. Over time, people realize that they cannot access your energy unless they come with respect, honesty, and alignment. This alone changes the quality of your relationships because you stop entertaining what drains you and start protecting what grows you. Becoming untouchable also allows you to focus fully on your mission. You are no longer spending your days explaining yourself, proving your worth, or seeking permission to exist as you are. Your energy is invested in building your future, strengthening your character, and expanding your potential. You become consistent, disciplined, and intentional. While others are caught in emotional storms, you remain grounded. While others chase approval, you chase progress. This separation creates extraordinary momentum. Life begins to respond differently to you, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. Your presence carries weight. Your decisions create direction. Your silence communicates strength. And as you continue to walk this path, you inspire others without saying a word, simply by the way you live. They see your calm, your focus, your resilience, and they realize what is possible when someone commits to mastering themselves. This is what it means to become untouchable, not immune to challenges, but unbroken by them, not free from struggle, but stronger because of it, not distant from the world, but centered within it. And if this message gave you clarity and strength today, take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe.